All right, good morning, everyone. So today I wanted to start to talk about negotiation skills a little bit. We talked a lot about listing appointments, a lot about working with our buyers. Well, what can we do to hone in the skill of negotiation, right? So I tried to put together a little training session for us on how to work our negotiation skills. You guys can let me know what your biggest areas are where you have trouble, whether it's like winning bidding wars or whether it's convincing your listing agents to close or just closing in general. A lot of people are really good at getting the appointment, but by the time it comes to sitting in front of that person, they don't know how to close that appointment. And that has a lot to do with your negotiation skills. Some people say to me, oh, I keep on throwing in offer after offer after offer, and I'm not winning the bidding war for my client. That has to do a lot with your negotiation skills. So we want to try to keep on working on these skills every single day and get better and better at them, especially as the market adapts and change. We have to adapt and change as well, because back in the day, you needed negotiation skills to go back and forth sort of on an offer, but everything is a bid war. In this sort of situation. So if we're putting in an offer for our client, we have to know how to work that situation as well. So it's good to keep on talking and get pointers from everybody. Feel free to jump in, just let me know what you do to help, but I'm just going to start working on, first we're going to go over just negotiation strategies, then we'll kind of hone in on more what it is to work with buyers and sellers. I have this little graphic here that I really like that we'll go over as well. Well, we'll start with our negotiation strategies. Okay, so there's different areas as an agent. So I try to make this agent specific. There's different negotiation strategies that you can use in general, just when negotiating anything in your daily life. But I try to hone in on how this affects realtors and specifically what topics that we're doing. So obviously, we negotiate price very often, right? Buyer and seller agents try to negotiate the best possible price for their client. And when we're working for our sellers, we know that that's the highest possible price. When we're working for our buyers, we know we're trying to get the lowest possible price. So we're kind of, we have to be the best of both worlds as an agent. We have to know how to negotiate both ends of it, how to push a price really high and how to negotiate a price down, right? Buyers don't want to overpay or price themselves out of the resale future. You have to be mindful of this for your clients, please, because everything's a lot of bidding wars these days. You have to be really mindful when you're negotiating price that you're being a knowledgeable agent and doing your due diligence when you're doing this. You want to make sure you're checking and researching the values of stuff in those neighborhoods. So even when you win the bid for your client, you're not making them overpay. Because you want your clients to come back and use you. You don't want them to be ticked off that their resale value took forever to come back because you made them way overpay. But you also want to make sure that they're good for closing. We have to think of things like appraisals and stuff like that at the end of the day. We have to make sure that they're not short on funds to close, right? So don't get caught up emotionally, I guess, in the middle of the transaction, right? Sellers want to make sure the deal makes sense for their financial plan. So you want to make sure that they're recouping enough funds and to go on and get what they want to do. If they tell you they want to sell their house and turn around and buy this other house or a bigger house because they're outgrown their house, and once you sell, you don't have enough funds to do so, you haven't done anything that makes sense for their financial plan, essentially, right? Closing costs. So let me just dash them in there. Okay, closing costs. Buyers have to pay prepaid closing costs for their mortgage, which is money that the mortgage lender holds in escrow for items like taxes, insurance, CMHC, stuff like that. A buyer may ask a seller to pay flat dollar amount towards their closing costs. So they're talking about negotiating this with the seller, or up to a percentage for what's allowable what's an allowable contribution for the lender. Sometimes this can be up to 3% of what's included in the mortgage. If a buyer asks a seller to make a concession on his or her behalf, they're likely going to have to pay a higher asking price, right? Good morning. How are you? Right? Another area that we can negotiate is closing date. As you know, very often in our bid war situations, a seller might take an offer that's a little bit less at the end of the day if you negotiate a better closing date, something that matches up with them. So that's another portion of that we can negotiate. They might have the property sitting there vacant, might be children selling an estate home, for instance. They want to get that capital out fast. So even though they're being offered $5,000 or $10,000 for someone who's closing in 3 months, they might choose this offer that's closing in a month. So don't always think price point when we're negotiating for our clients. We can think of different areas of that offer that we can negotiate with them. So they talk about financial contingencies. Some transactions end up being cash, so sellers don't tie up their property for 30 or 60 days, which is what's required when there's a financing contingency in place. Not always true, right? Buyers competing with cash offers need to figure out if they can drop the financing contingency. So we always know that this isn't necessarily a cash deal nowadays because the bidding war is such a common thing. A lot of people are just sort of lining up all their ducks in a row with their financial agent, with their mortgage agent beforehand, and ensuring that it's a kind of a pretty solid deal, and then just waiving that financing clause. It doesn't mean it's a cash deal. Home warranty. A buyer can ask for a home warranty or a seller can offer one. This protection plan covers the home's appliance and systems like air conditioning and hot water heater in the event these things break or need a repair. So what I've seen in some houses that have a little difficulty selling is they might offer something like this. So they might offer to pay your Enbridge has that home care for 1 year that, fixes or repairs your furnace or your air conditioning that breaks down. They might offer to pay an alarm system monitoring for a year. Right now, my clients are in the process of getting a well put in their property for the property that I have up for sale in Kawartha Lakes. One of the home warranties that we're offering right now is that they're going to help them get water delivered in the meantime, because up north right now, ordering a new drilled well is really, really backed up, and they're not guaranteed what date exactly. They've just been told sometime before the snow flies, right? So this is sort of a thing we're trying to offer to the buyers as an incentive, right? Lease back. The process of moving into a new home can be highly stressful and labor intensive. If a seller needs extra time to get into their new home, buyers could offer a zero-cost rent back for 30 to 90 days to entice the seller to accept the offer over others. Peace of mind is a valuable negotiating tactic. So this is something actually that my clients offered. They just purchased a condo at Lease Center, and the sellers couldn't coordinate their closing date. So what they did is they said to them, okay, for that little short time, if you give us this price, because they're first-time home buyers, they had a really strict budget, we'll allow you to stay in the property until you close your other property. And they sort of worked together with the sellers, and they got that worked out. So that's another part of the deal that you can negotiate, right? Home repairs. Buyers also have a ton of room to negotiate when home needs a lot of updating. When a home is out of date with appliances that don't work, popcorn ceilings or cracked pool foundations, for example, a buyer can ask for a lower price because of the cost. So we know this, obviously. A lot of times we do inspections and we kind of go back and forth with this. Nowadays, with the bidding war situations, we're not getting that opportunity to do the home inspection, but perhaps, you guys could just take note for your clients, and when you're walking through, think of things that we normally see that we can ask when we do that home inspection. Do you see that the pool needs a major repair? Do you see that maybe there's an update in the ceiling because there's some water damage? You could go back and on the sellers and ask them for a reduced price because of this. Appraisal contingency. If the buyer is getting a mortgage, the seller could push for the buyer to waive the appraisal contingency, but then they have to make good on the amount for the cash to close. If for some reason the appraisal falls short, and the bank will lend them only so much money based on an appraised value. So we go back to talking about when I was up here when we were talking about negotiating the price for your clients. You have to be really careful at the end of the day, because that very often happens where the appraisal falls short and your buyer has to come up with the missed amount, right? So you have to make sure that even though you're negotiating and you think you're doing a really good deal, even as the seller, you have to be mindful of this. So if you're the listing agent representing the seller, you have to be really a smart agent. You can get some crazy offer, but I can guarantee you that a lot of times when it's too good to be true and it's way over asking and it blows the other offers away, very often that deal is not closing, right? You'll have trouble with that deal closing. Your job at the end of the day is to negotiate a good and fair high price, yeah, but a price that'll also make the transaction close. So you have to be mindful when you're negotiating. Furniture. A lot of times people throw furniture into a sale. They might say, oh, the patio's included, the barbecue's included, the hot tub outside is included, different things. Window treatments are another hot one. A lot of people custom fit those California shutters. They'll include them all in the sale to entice the buyer. Appliances as well. The stove, dishwasher, microwave, and any built-in appliance may come with the property, but not the washer, dryer, and refrigerator, which isn't very often. In different markets, people don't always convey every appliance. They don't want to give it away, says Amir. They want to see how the negotiation goes. So sometimes, but very often, you'll see, I know I have a lot of sellers who say to me, okay, there's a hot tub outside, but don't include it, and then throw it in to help us get our price. They never had an intention to really bring it along with them, but you can kind of keep it back as a negotiation tactic for your client. So you can say to them, hey, you know, there's this beautiful chandelier and everybody wants it included. We're going to say it's excluded, but then maybe we'll throw it in at the end of the day to help. Inspection. Well, waiving an inspection often comes with buyer's remorse, and it's true. It's very tough these days. What are you guys telling your clients when you tell them that they can't do an inspection? Right? It's a tough situation right now in a bidding war. We have to be very mindful, especially with RICO and that. We have to be making sure we're putting that clause, even the financing clause, into our contracts, even though we're negotiating that we're going to go into the bidding war and make it firm and not do the inspection or the financing clause. We have to make sure that we're putting the clause in and having our clients initial to know that they're waiving their right to that. Because very often when they do this, they have remorse. They say, oh, well, you know, we really should have had a home inspection, right? So you want to make sure that you're conveying to them in writing somehow, at the very least, reducing it to a clause with their initial on it, right? Condo and co-op assignments. These are used to maintain the building and common areas, like the roof, aesthetic improvements, and sellers typically need to settle if there's an open assessment. This becomes a negotiation between the seller and the buyer. So again, when these bidding wars, we're very often not getting that status certificate reviewed with the lawyer, which is a bad practice. If the listing agent has it ready, don't wait until bid day to pull that status certificate. Make sure you're getting it ahead of time and still getting a review with the lawyer, because while at the end of the day, we may be used to reading status certificates, we're not experts, and we might miss something like special assessments for our clients. All right. So negotiation skills. What do they say about negotiation skills at the end of the day? It's really, really important to mirror the person that you're talking to. So they say that you have to have really good listening skills. My phone is blowing up here. Listening skills. Listen carefully and observe the other side's behavior. Poor listeners miss opportunities. So very often I find a big mistake when people are negotiating is they don't listen very well. I have a super funny story. I was selling a condo way out in the West End, and I had a poor listener and she lost out because of it. We had actually decided that out of all the bids, because it was a bidding war, that we were going to take hers. We had called her upstairs and we were trying to explain it to her. And in the middle of it all, she says, you know what? My client says they'll give 5,000 more. And so I looked at my seller and I said, is that okay with you? And he says, yeah, no problem. And she paid 5,000 more for absolutely nothing sitting there at the table. But if she just taken a moment to sit back and listen, my next words would have been, okay, so congratulations. We've decided to take your bid out of all of them. Right? This is when things are face to face, and we were doing bidding wars, like when people were present. Yeah.
I didn't understand what happened. So she did.
Okay. So it wasn't like today where you're emailing in an offer. We physically had people present. Oh. So I had them in the lobby and I would be calling them, texting them to come up because it was a condo. I forget what floor, right? Mm-hmm. Say the 11th floor. And I had people come up and present their offer. Then I had them improve. I had to come up and present their second offer. And I called this lady up because she was the winner, basically. She had the highest bid and my clients were going to accept her offer. And I called her up. I'm telling you, it's the funniest thing to hold a straight face while this is all happening. And because of her poor listening skills, I called her up and she was so excitable. And I said, oh, okay, you know, I said, your client definitely has come up a lot. And I could barely, whatever I was saying, I couldn't spit it out. She interrupted me and said, oh, you know what? It doesn't matter. No matter what, my client said they'll give 5,000 more. And I said, so I looked at my seller and we're all trying not to laugh. And I said, are you okay with that? He says, yep, no problem. We laugh about it to this day because it's actually a repeat client. I've helped them buy and sell since. We always laugh about selling the condo that day because they got 5,000 more for nothing, all because she had poor listening skills. So it's important to sit and listen and not talk over the person and try to just let them spit it out and listen to everything that they have to say. Very often when you're negotiating, you catch certain things. So we all know in a bid situation right now, we call on the phone and we ask the person, okay, so you're selling this property, Sadia. How much does your client want? Well, I can't tell you that. You know what I mean? Okay, how much are your other offers? I can't tell you the price. You're not getting anywhere. So you have to learn how to ask really directed questions when you're in these situations. Very often, instead of asking how much does your client want, I'll say, what sort of comparables did you use in your area? You get more information out of the listing agent this way. So they might say to you, oh, you know, I used this one down the street and they got $850, but our property is bigger and has a pool. So already I'm directed. I know where I have to be placed, right? I'm getting numbers without asking them direct numbers, right? When I ask them, I don't ask them how much other offers are. Very often I'll say, am I in the top 3? Am I the lowest? Am I the highest? You know what I mean? How far off am I? Is it a lot? You know what I mean? There's a little, you want to ask them these questions because then maybe they'll direct you. A lot of times they'll say, you know what, you're the lowest by far. Oh no, you're definitely in the top 3, but the first one's really high. It gives you an idea of how much to come up and how much to pull up your socks for your clients at the end of the day to help win that, right? So it's really important to ask those directed questions and learn how to like sit back and listen to the inside of what they're saying, even though they're not giving you a number. Sometimes at the end of the day, you can get directed and learn how to like where to place your client in the bid, right? Because at the end of the day, you don't want them way overpaying when they could have won with a much lower bid, like this lady giving me extra 5,000 for no reason, right? So you have to sit and listen at the end of the day. Good morning, how are you? Analytical skills. Analytical skills are basic for problem solving situations, right? So you have to be analytical, you have to be able to look at things and think to yourself, okay, to explain to your clients, okay, I want you to come up 20,000. Why do you want me to come up 20,000? I only want to come up 10. Well, because you weren't the top one. So if the person who was already ahead of you comes up, not only do you need to come up to where they were, you need to come up again. So this is how I'm explaining to my client. I'm problem solving with them to help them understand why they need to come up, right? Be professional and control your emotions. A loss of control could cause you to think irrationally, to lose negotiations, and can lead to unfavorable results. This, unfortunately, is a huge problem I find with a ton of agents that you work with. They get really emotionally charged when you're dealing with the situation. They get really angry, or they get really short with you on the phone very quickly when they're not getting their way. So you have to learn to just take it with a grain of salt, take a step back. It's not our own personal transaction. Our clients are hiring us to act on their behalf. So you have to keep a professional demeanor, and you have to keep things really light and just not get emotionally charged by the situation. If you do, you can be really clouded very easily. Your judgment can be clouded and you're going to ruin the situation. So if I get an offer that's super insulting for my client, I learned over the years, and I'm saying this is not from me being perfect from the beginning. This is me learning from my own mistakes, right? Very often I would say to my client, oh my God, well, that's a really low offer. That's almost insulting. And you charge your client now. Your client is now, oh yeah, it's very insulting and I'm not responding, and they get in that sort of situation. That's not going to help you in your negotiation at the end of the day. What you need to do is you need to say to them, oh no, that, if I were the buyer agent, I would put it in a lower offer too. He's only doing his job. He's doing a good job. Even if my client's really angry and goes, oh my God, that's super insulting. I say, no, I would do my job for my client and I would put it in a lower offer. He's being a good agent, right? So now what we need to do is we need to respond with what you want, right? Just to show them, and then hopefully we'll end up meeting somewhere. Right. So you have to really keep your emotions in check for the transaction. Never become emotionally charged about anything. It's going to be a disservice for you and your client. Right. Communication skills. To succeed in business negotiations, you have to communicate clearly and effectively. So this is what I say by sort of matching people. A lot of times, if you're speaking to somebody who doesn't speak very fast, right, and you're going on the phone, they're not going to understand you. Your thoughts aren't going to come across clearly to them. You have to make sure you're clear and concise with your communication skills, right? Be patient and respect the other side. This is another one that kind of goes hand in hand with emotions, right? Always be respectful to your opponent. Be patient, even if the other side is not. Very important, because a lot of times I'm telling you, you're going to come across so many agents who are very unreasonable and hot for zero reason. And I always like to remind them, I say, this is just our business. We shouldn't be getting like this, right? We're just acting on behalf of our clients, right? Your behavior during business negotiations make impressions. Keep calm, use tact and diplomacy. One of the aims of negotiations is to make good business relationships. So there's a couple of things in here. Always be respectful to your opponent. If you give me a really low offer, Bascaran, I'm not going to turn to you and say, are you crazy? What is this? I understand that you're working on behalf of your client. We have to separate ourselves from it at the end of the day. Our clients are hiring us because we're supposed to be the experts in negotiation. So we're not supposed to be putting this emotion, and we're not supposed to be being disrespectful to the other side at the end of the day, right? So I'm going to say to you, okay, I feel that this offer is low. Have you done research of the area? Perhaps these are the comparables. Maybe go back to your client and try to I'm not going to come at you and say, this is crazy. You know what I mean? This is a ridiculous offer. You have to be respectful of the other side. The other thing is that you have to understand good business relationships. I can't tell you, after 15 years being in the business right now, how many agents I had to work with again. So I can't imagine if I burned that bridge, if I got in a fight on the phone that day, if I didn't have some good negotiation skills, if I didn't keep emotions out of the process, I can't imagine bumping into that person and having them to work with them again and again and again, right? So the next time, if I yell and scream at you today when we're negotiating, right? If you have a listing that my buyer's trying to get next week, are you gonna favor my client's offer? Probably not, right? So you have to be really mindful of that when you're negotiating with people, right? Problem solving skills. It's very important to have the ability to identify the problem and find a way to solve the problem. So, okay, I'm the top 3 here now. They say we're neck and neck in price. What can I do to my offer now? Maybe I can make my offer firm if it wasn't firm. Maybe I can make my closing date better. Maybe I can offer some incentive, to the sellers, like we say a lease back option or something to that effect, because they can't coordinate their closing date. Let me problem solve and try and figure out how I can make my client win this bid, right? Excuse me, persuasive skills. Use both verbal and nonverbal persuasion and influencing skills. So always treat them very, very nice. I know in bidding war situations, and I hope it gets back to that, when we used to sit in front of the seller, we compliment their home. We tell them a little bit about our client. Nowadays, all we can really do is write an email and hope that the listing agent conveys that to the seller. Write a little blurb about your client's beautiful young family. They really like the school in the area. They're hoping to live here for a lifetime, make it their own. You know what I mean? Whatever you think will entice and make their offer better is the art of persuasion for sure. Do you guys have any questions about that? Let me check on everybody online here. How's everybody doing online so far? Everybody doing well? What's your guys' biggest problem with negotiating? Anything we can hone in on? You guys have more trouble with buyers or sellers? Right? Again, they say that you have to match people's emotions. You have to match people's energy. If somebody's way up here and you come in like this, they're not going to be matched up with you. It's not good in a negotiation for sure. If you're talking fast and they're talking slow, you have to try and, oops, I'm almost paused my recording. Go back and share my screen now. So I'll go back into speaking a little bit more specifically. This is Leader's Edge training that we took a while ago. It's like Mike Ferry. And it kind of goes the difference between when we're negotiating for our buyers and negotiating for our sellers. So I'll start with the buyers. Okay, so I get this a lot. Oh my goodness, I've shown them 40 homes. I can't close these clients. I'm getting really tired of working with them, right? How do I negotiate with these buyers? How do I lock them down? Why am I showing them so many houses, right? So we have to learn how to hone in our buyers and how to close them. I know we talk a lot about closing listing appointments, but buyers is definitely an important aspect that you need to start learning, right? So recognizing buying signals is an art. What are buying signals from our clients, right? No 2 buyers act the same way when they found the right house. Be careful not to misinterpret their reaction. So we all have those buyers that walk around and go, oh my God, I love it. It's perfect, right? We also have those buyers that even though we're acting on their behalf, don't feel like we're on their side, and they go, yeah, it could be okay, when inside they're bursting and they love it, right? But they still want us to fight for a good price for them so they're not overreacting. So you have to recognize your client's buyer signals. You have to get to learn them, right? By the time I show a client 1 or 2 houses and you sit there and you really pay attention to what they're appreciating in the house, you should really know when you walk into a home if it suits that client, right? Even if it's not to your own taste. So listen, talk less and listen more. Pay attention to their discussion, watch for nonverbal cues, right? So wife taps and points at the hot tub outside, they're really digging it, or to the beautiful garden, or she loves this kind of kitchen, right? These are the signals you want to definitely hone in with your buyers, right? Watch for interest questions. Shows they're considering what it would be like to live here. So is the school in the area good? Where's the closest park? Are the grocery stores close by? You think I can walk to transit from here? Different kind of interest questions, because if they didn't love the house, they wouldn't care about situational questions like this, right? So you want to definitely hone that in. The buyers may withdraw or start to argue. Buyers may get quiet and even start to squabble. It shows they're close to making a decision and are nervous. So a lot of times they'll go, well, I think we can make this work. Well, you said 10-minute walk to the bus stop and this is 20, but I really like this place. You know what I mean? You might kind of find that they're yeah, they're really getting on the same page here now. So They may place their furniture or discuss decorating ideas. These are the most obvious signals they are interested. So we all know once they start going, oh my goodness, the TV would look great there. We could put that big couch. This would really fit our big couch here. It's a great living room. And, the kids could use this room as a playroom. Once they start placing themselves in the house, you definitely know that those are closing signals. And it's something that you could hone in on with those buyers, right? When they found the right house. So how do we start closing our buyers, right? Use trial closes. So everybody says trial closes. They're kind of test closes with our clients. So you gauge their interest by asking them questions like, I love the kitchen cabinets, don't you? You were looking for this big island and this has it. That's great, huh? This is really close to that school you wanted to send your kids to, right? Oh yeah, it is, no problem, right? So there's a little trial closes to kind of gauge your clients. The last thing you want to do is make your buyer clients feel really pressured. So you try some trial closes with them, right? Don't close for the sale yet. Don't try to close a sale when you're in the house. Get them back to the office first. This is difficult these days. Before it was, we take them to the house, we come back to the office. They're in our car most of the time. This doesn't even happen so much nowadays. So what do you do? Do you know what I mean? What do you do? So I normally say to them, look, you guys, I don't want to hear anything right now. You don't have to give me a yes or no right now while we're standing here. We saw 5 houses this evening. You guys go back, text me your top 3, and I'll get you some more information on them. So I give, whoever's buying a little bit of time, whether it's husband and wife or, buddies, or even just the single person, to go back and think about what we just saw. They don't feel pressure. They're going to think about all the houses we just saw this evening, right? Again, drive back to the office. That's not happening these days. So we say drive home. They're going to sit and think about it. Text me if you have any questions, right? Ask them to come to the office so you can run the numbers to help with their decision. Again, you definitely want to run numbers with your clients. You want to see if it's feasible for them. You want to say, okay, so you have this much down. This is a little out of your budget, but you're going to get this, rebate, or the taxes or closing costs are less because we're buying in Durham now and we're not buying in, Toronto. If you're choosing between Toronto and Pickering, crunch the numbers with your clients, let it make sense. Put it in perspective with them, because we have to understand at the end of the day, this is like the largest purchase they're ever going to make. A lot of people get very nervous at large purchases. When you sit down and you crunch those numbers with your clients very calmly, and you can discuss, this is your down payment, this is your deposit you have to give me, this is what it's going to cost you to close, this is what it's going to cost. You guys can make it work because you said you had this. We can make this one work, right? Then once they see it in black and white, and once they get a little calmer in their walk through the whole process, they're more likely to make a decision. A lot of people have, flight syndrome, where they just kind of take off when they get a little nervous. And some clients will have a hard time closing unless you put them in that comfort zone, right? So close for the offer. Answer their questions as if they're the buyer. It seems like you really like the house. I think we should make an offer, don't you? So generally, I don't say it like this. Generally, I say to them, especially if I'm having a hard time closing them, we lost out on those other 2 houses. They sold so quickly. And this one's got that big kitchen that you were looking for with open concept with the island. Let's definitely start putting something together. I'll go home. You send me your idea. I'll go home and I'll start preparing the offer for you, right? You want to kind of walk them in that direction and start to close them, right? If they hesitate, recap all the items that are important. So again, like I was saying, we've seen 20 houses, right? And we keep on missing out. And this one's got the big backyard. Let's go and close on this, right? What's your guys' biggest problem working with buyers though? Do you guys are closing all your buyers? You finding it easy? You find it easier to work with buyers or sellers? I like everybody's different opinion when I ask this question. Some people are just listers by nature. Some people like to work with buyers, right? Both is good, right? Don't forget at the end of the day, we do make more money working with our buyers, but I keep on pushing the fact that the listing is what gets your name out there, right? And you get buyers off your listings all the time. So you want to try to get those listings, but it is very nice to work with buyers. I don't want to run out of time here. I might only get through buyers today. If representing both buyer and seller, get written consent first. So this is multiple, definitely. Get your best offer first. So this is saying starting with a low offer and negotiating the middle ground is risky. It's only risky if you don't have good communication right now with the people who are running the bidding wars. So if you have a listing agent that you're dealing with, you definitely want to communicate with them. Will you be having a second round? Will you be giving us an opportunity to improve? Mind you, that kind of indicates that your client might have room to improve as well, which is a tricky situation. But we always have to be mindful that if we don't give at least a decent offer to start, we might not be considered for the final round. But also, it's seller's choice. If they decide not to have a second round, they don't have to. So I've also had the agent come to me and say, you know, that agent said they'd give a second round and then they didn't, and they just picked one. Well, at the end of the day, we have to understand that it's seller's choice. So we never know what's going to happen. So you have to, it's really hard to navigate today's kind of market. This is sort of responding to, you know, back at a time where you could send offers back and forth and it would take your day or two to come to a price decision. Right now, it's sort of a one night throw in your offer and hope for the best, right? So keep it simple, salesperson. The fewer conditions you include, the better chance your offer has of being accepted. This is very, very true. But while it's true, please protect yourself as agents and make sure you're explaining to your clients what conditions they're not including in their offer in order to make their offer simple and the reason why they're doing it, right? I had my clients call me because they've moved into their condo now, and unfortunately they're having a bug problem, and they're saying that, you know, we really should have had an inspection. And I said to them, well, that's true. I said, you know, we discussed the whole thing is that I think it was the 6th or 7th condo we'd put an offer in. And I said, every time we put those conditions in, we were losing. You guys got, and this is an insurmountable thing. And I called the sellers, and the sellers are paying for a pest company to come and spray, right? So, I mean, at the end of the day, I know that our clients don't necessarily understand, but we have to be there to explain to them why it's important to keep things simple nowadays. Because as a listing agent, I know that if you have 10 offers and you choose something with a condition on it, you're going to, if that one falls through tomorrow, we just lost out on our 9 offers. So you have to be really mindful that as a listing agent, you wouldn't be picking that, right? Look for common ground. What can the buyers give up that doesn't mean a lot to them, but it's important to the sellers, right? So maybe the buyers don't really care about, I don't know, we'll go back to the hot tub. They don't really care. Take the hot tub if you want. The sellers kind of really wanted to take it with them, but most of the people in their offers are saying, keep it, right? To get the price. Maybe that's something that kind of tipped the scales for you, right? Larger deposit is better. It shows the sellers they are serious. Buyers are less likely to walk away if problems arise. This is true. If you're working on behalf of the buyer, though, you also don't want to trap your buyer. God forbid anything happens, right? So you kind of want to find a middle ground. You don't want to just give a ridiculous deposit for no reason. Generally, we give about 5%. We try to cover the commissions on both sides of the transaction, right? So I think that that's fair. I think if they're asking for more, I'd wonder why. Why do they want more of a deposit? Is there something they know why this might not close and they can walk away? Multiple offers. Let the buyers know the number of competing offers. So this is 100% become a RICO thing where you have to page out. I hope you guys as listing agents are paging it all out on the regular basis. It's part of fair negotiation as far as RICO is concerned. If you're not, you can get into big trouble, right? And it has to be the actual amount of offers. You can't inflate it, right? You have to tell them how many offers they are. All right, I'm just trying to see if I want to go from this or switch to sellers. I guess we'll stay on buyers today and we'll finish this off. Okay, so buyer objections. What are our buyer objections? So the first one we say is ball in the court. Assume the house is listed for market value, but the buyers want to start with a low offer. You say, my experience tells me this house is worth what they're asking. I understand that you want to get the best price, but if you come in too low, you risk offending the sellers. If I can prove to you the house is worth the asking price, would you even consider it? Okay, what's the most you're willing to offer? So all of us should be doing our research of market sales in the neighborhood and finding out what things are worth so we can show to our clients proof of what things are worth, right? But how many of you guys have put in an offer and the seller hasn't even bothered responding because it's too low? Because exactly, we've all had that buyer who's like, but just put it in and try. They think we could just put it in and try. So very often we take all our time and energy, we put together this offer, we put it in, it's so low, the seller doesn't even bother responding to us. So it's a difficult situation. Convert to pennies. So I do this almost every time my client wants to come in low. I know you love the home and location, and the only thing standing between you and the house is $6,000. Now, I don't think that $6,000 is a lot of money, but let me show you what the difference means. If you added $6,000 to your mortgage, it would cost you about $36 a month, or about $1 a day. You're letting less than a cup of coffee a day stand between you and the perfect house. So a lot of people might say, I did not want to pay over $950 for this house, and now it's going, you're telling me to put in $956. Some people just have a number that they just don't want to go over. You have to reduce it to pennies in their mind. And I always say, I just use 5,000. I say 5,000 is about $20 difference in your mortgage, especially with the rates these days. It's about $20 difference in your mortgage monthly. You're going to let this go for $20 more in your there, but it's I understand it's $6,000, but it's literally only $20 a month in your mortgage. it's worth it to pay because you love it, right? Identify lifestyle. Focus on the lifestyle their new home has to offer. Great location, good schools, good ratings. That's a good thing that a lot of people care about. I hope you're pulling up those stats for your clients, right? Close to shopping, large backyard. Bring to the surface all the positive things they love about the house. Get them excited about the thought of moving, and then say, with everything this house has to offer, it only makes sense to do everything we can to get you the house. Don't you agree? Right? This is the lifestyle they want to live in, the good neighborhood with the good rated school. This is the house for you. Meet them halfway. There is only $6,000 standing between you and the perfect house. Would you even consider meeting the sellers halfway to bridge the gap? If you don't want to offer $349,000, would you consider $346,000? If we do, I think the offer will be much more appealing to the seller, and hopefully we can get you this home. So a lot of times in negotiations, it has worked. Again, with bid situations, it's extremely hard. But if you're in the middle of a normal transaction where you're negotiating the price, if my buyer has come up, 10 or 20,000, and this have come down 10 or 20,000, I always offer the listing agent to say, okay, let's have them meet in the middle someplace. If we're 10,000 short, you come down 5, we'll come up 5, we'll make them meet in the middle, and everybody will be happy. Then nobody feels like they're doing more at the end of the day. Sometimes stubbornness and pride get in the way of our sellers and our buyers, and we have to overcome that with them. We have to sort of let them leave that at the front door per se, and like get their stubbornness and pride out of the situation, and just sort of say, you know what, we're going to come to a middle ground, right? Trade-offs. If the buyers are not willing to budge on the price, then see if there's anything else they can concede to make an offer more attractive to the sellers. Will they waive a certain condition? Will they match the seller's requested closing date? What can they offer that would be a best value to the seller? So again, we go back to what kind of concessions we can make. Okay, you're sticking to your price. You want 800,000, no problem. You know what? I'll give you your 800,000 if you give me my closing date, because we just sold our house and I need this closing date, right? All right, we have one more to go. Deliver the offer as soon as possible. So if you're the buyer agent, make sure you deliver the offer to your seller's agent as soon as possible. Don't wait. Though this, again, I sort of agree with and disagree with, especially in this market we've been in the last 6-7 months. I find I've been holding my offer to the last minute. More or less today with the bidding war, our offers are like a game of poker where we're holding our cards really close. We don't want the agent to see it because very often that agent's using it against us. They're saying, oh, I have 2 offers and they're, over $1 million. So, you have to come with a better offer than that. Now you come and you've given a better offer. He's essentially used my offer against me, right? So you have to judge what market you're in. This might make more sense in February when things are slower and maybe not such a bid market, right? Prepare for seller anxiety. This is the biggest asset they own. So they will be both excited and anxious to get an offer, right? Office to book the appointment. Avoid seller questions about the offer in advance. Don't disclose any details yet. So you generally want them, they start to sort of stick to the first 1 or 2 they hear. You want to wait and present them all at the same time to your client. I think this is a good tactic. I don't present them as they come in. I just sort of let them know that you get 1 or 2 offers. And especially now when people are only giving us the 801s, we're not able to convey those. So I would say this is definitely a good tactic. I wouldn't convey the contents of any of the offers with my clients until I receive them all and it's time to present to them, right? Complete the seller's net sheet. So this is again, like working with our sellers. We're going to go over just like we would with our buyers. If we sell this property, we're going to end up with this much amount. Your mortgage is only this much amount. So we'll have this much left over and you'll have enough to turn around and purchase things in this neighborhood that you're looking, right? So put their mind at ease that they're selling for a good price. Collect stats on showing activity, number of days on market, number of showings, number of offers, and the value of the offers, right? So we had 37 showings. We've got 5 offers sitting in front of us. They're all within $10,000 of each other. I think this is the fair market value, because if they're saying, no, I wanted 50,000 more than this. Well, all 5 of these agents all did their market research and they all say that it's worth about this much. You know what I mean? It's if you're having a hard time with your client. Why were past offers rejected? So what is most important to sellers? How does the current offer meet their needs? Very often when we were before bid dates, we were getting that really good offer and our client wouldn't accept it because it was the first one. They want to wait and see. They say a bird in the hand's worth 2 in the bush. So very often our clients were saying, oh, but that first offer was so good. So you have to make sure that you talk to your clients about why you know, certain things were rejected in the past and what they're coming up with now. Like I say, it's so completely different now working with these offers that we get all at once though, that we don't really deal with that so much, right? Update your market evaluation. How has the market changed since they first listed? This is important. If you listed something and it hasn't sold for a while and it was listed in May and now it's September, you better be redoing a market evaluation for your clients because things have changed, right? You may have told them it was worth $840 at first, but now things are only selling for about $790, $799 in the neighborhood, right? And know the buyer's details. Pass on personal details about the buyers so it seems less like strangers in the negotiations. So like I said, again, it's important to give a little blurb about your buyers, maybe talk about what kind of a nice family they are. I've had many clients that have chosen buyers based on the fact they were a nice family. They thought they were a good fit for the neighborhood. They really want to give their house to the family versus the guy who's coming to flip the house. So it's important. Sometimes that really helps you win a bid war and win the negotiation, right? All right, I'm not going to go over sellers because I'm sure you guys have heard me talk enough this morning and we're almost done for time. How's everybody doing online? All my quiet people online. I can't wait till everybody comes into the office. I like to do so many more interactive sessions. So I booked us a couple of things. I know guys keep October 5th open. We're going to do collaborate training, which I know a couple of the guys in the office have asked me about, and it's really good. It's a lot like setting up our prospects, but you'll get things in real time if you want, which is really important if you've got somebody aggressively looking for something and they keep on missing out on a certain type of house or certain type of condo or something. I also booked Remax head office to come back in. I believe they're coming on the 28th, and they're going to come and talk to us about Lead Street. How many of us are signed up in the back office for Lead Street? Of all you guys signed up in your back office for Lead Street in Remax? You guys do it. Are you signed up for real? Yeah. Do you get leads to your phone?
I got a few.
See? Okay. I am so excited about this because we all know I've only been here 4 months now. And I've got to tell you, you know, I'm not going to name names while I'm on video, but other brokerages and other franchises don't have this. I'm excited. I get them popping up on my phone and I'm like, this is a legit lead. This is awesome.
But by the time I click to accept it, it's gone.
You got to click it right away. You got to click it right away. You got to have your phone on. You got to click it right away. So that's true. But Remax marketing is so good in the back end that if you're signed up, you're actually getting leads on your phone. And I just like thrilled by it. I mean, some of them have only been rentals and stuff. And I'm like, this is for real. This is awesome. Just for being a part of the franchise. So you're paying your franchise fees. You're going to want to learn. I asked head office to come and do a training on everybody on how to sign up for it, how to use it in the back end. It's also where our CRM is. I use the CRM like daily. I can't live without my CRM. So you guys should be learning that.
Training on that.
Yeah, 28th I booked them in for. So not too far from now. He couldn't come in until not this Tuesday, next Tuesday. So this 28th. The CRM and the Lead Street the same day. They're going to do the leads, right? It was a hard time. Yeah, it's going to be Tuesday morning. The head office training guy just recently switched. So I remember it was Kevin before. He's gone on to another position and now it's a new guy. So I had a little hard time coordinating him because he's just getting into his new role, but I booked him in for the 28th. So I'm excited because I want everybody to use it. I think it's great. Pull for all those, because I can tell you when I worked at Century 21 and now that I've been here, it's very surprising how many people don't use their back office. And the thing is that our fees are paying for it. Our franchise fees are paying for it, right? We got so many social media tools back there. We have the CRM, we have this lead thing, right? And even at Century 21, I had guys who were, 10, 15, 20 years real estate agent. They were like, what are you talking about the back office? And I'm like, there's so much stuff back there. What are you talking about? Right. So I definitely want you guys to get trained on and use it because I think of our office, I know probably if our office uses it, will be the majority of most offices that are using the back office because people just don't realize it's there and they're not using it. Right. Pull all the leads here. Let's get all the business here in our office. Right. So anyways, definitely tune in for that 28th and 5th. I'm going to keep on reminding you guys. I'll push it out closer to the date. I just don't like confusing you guys with all the links by sending out so many emails because then you won't know where to find what links for what day. But 25th and 5th of October is the next two things I've got booked for guest speakers so far. Other than that, it'll be me in the meantime. All right.
So that,
That's okay.
say the 10 offer.
Yeah,
And that presentation time.
yeah,
You tell which day presentation, no, last. And then they will show us to the agent, okay, you know what, this case 10 offer, this one, this price, this price, this price, they will tell us, or they will decide themselves.
no, you're the buyer agent?
Yeah.
No, you never get to see the price, ever.
No, after everything done, they
No.
say this is the highest price.
No.
Now we can believe this is the higher price, this is the lower price.
That's why there's talk of eliminating the bidding wars, right? That's why, the Liberal Party saying, oh, we're gonna eliminate it. But the thing is that even if they officially eliminate it, for instance, saying, I can't put up in my listing saying next week I've planned a bid date. I think it's something that's naturally still gonna happen. So how do they stop it from naturally happening? Do you know what I mean? And I think it's going to be tough because a lot of people think that this part is unfair, right? But it's just a tactic that's working for the sellers. So it's become a very popular way to sell a house, right? Because of this, because even though I can tell you one thing, if I'm the listing agent and you give me your offer and you're the highest offer out of the 10, when I talk to you on the phone, I'm not going to tell you you're the highest offer. I'm going to say, no, you're not the highest offer. Do you know what I mean? Because then what's going to stop you from coming up more? Right? If you want to be a good listing agent, you're going to tell them, you got to pull the offer up. You got to give me some more money, right? So after, I certainly am not going to show you all the other ones that were low, right? I've had bid situations where I've only had 3 offers, 2 have been really, really low, and the high guy still comes up more. He didn't have anything to come up for. He would have won to begin with, but everybody thinks that second round, I have to improve my offer, right? So it's just a good way to get them sort of top value or like a record sale. Right.
I know it's a good question, but it's still at a point you don't want to show, even confirm, okay, this is 100,000, it's a 90, 80, okay, 100,000, we're thinking, oh, this is about this guy winning. After all done.
Yeah.
And even by then, they don't know.
Because people get sour. So if I tell you you're really low by far and you jump up 40,000, say Bilkis's offer now was like almost 100,000 less than yours, you're going to turn around and get really mad and say you lied to me, or you were not honest, or she didn't come up, or hers wasn't really that much lower than mine. You know what I mean? And my tactic to make you come up in price.
And therefore, even
It is. But the thing is that I think it's better that you're not disclosing it after the bidding war is over, because I think there'd be more sore people. There are already sore people when they lose the bid situation. I've had guys calling and yelling at me, oh, you didn't pick my bid. People are already angry. I think if you show them what the process was in the background, like this lady who came and offered me the $5,000 extra. If I showed her after that she offered me 5 for no reason, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think showing them after the fact would do you any good, personally, right? Yeah. So
I think I don't know if it change government or something. If you say 2 offer that day, they can't wait other offer. They say 2 offer, whoever highest, finish it that day.
Yeah. That's what I say. While they can ban us from maybe purposely planning a bidding war, they might ban it totally. But I think that, sorry? Oh, I thought you were talking. While they might ban it, I don't think they can stop it from naturally happening. And if it's not going to be enforceable, if it naturally happens, I think it'll always accidentally happen. Do you know what I mean? Even though it's not in writing on the listing, I think it's going to be a really hard thing to ban for sure. Yeah. Especially since it's such a good marketing strategy that's working for our clients to push that price up. I think it's going to be definitely hard to ban. Yeah. Definitely. You guys all good online there? All right. Everybody have a good week. I will see you Thursday. Talk to you soon.